What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ted Jones World Podcast. We have a very special guest today, guys, all the way from the UK, Giuseppe Federici. What's up, man? How's it going? I got it?
You got it right. Perfect. Well done. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Let's go, man. I am terrific. So Giuseppe, man, is super involved in the plant-based news Instagram. Honestly, one of my favorite Instagram accounts, bro. I really appreciate you coming on here, especially all the way from the UK. How's it going, man, today? What'd you eat today, I guess? Let's talk based on that.
Yeah, awesome. So today I had, well, thank you for the epic introduction, by the way. So I had for breakfast, I had a lazy oat bowl, which is basically just oats soaked with some plant milk. And then I leave it in the fridge for about half an hour with some like protein powder. Got to get the protein in. And then top it with some chia seeds. And then I have that after the gym, basically. And that's my breakfast. And then lunch, I had a massive salad with some tofu and bits and bobs. And then I've saved myself since then because this evening I'm heading to Nando's. Have you heard of Nando's in the States?
I have heard of Nando's being in like a couple states in the United States here, but I've never actually been to it. So explain it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a massive chicken place, but I'm heading there tonight with some of my vegan friends because they have a cool vegan option. So yeah, that should be good.
So Giuseppe, when did you actually become vegan?
So it's been about almost 6 years now. So I originally went vegan around 2015, 2016. And it started a year before that because my dad was basically ill, and that started my like research into being healthy. So my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, which is quite bad. It's like stage 4 is one of the worst ones. It was 2014, and he basically had to have chemotherapy and operations. He actually refused chemotherapy just because, like, after a few sessions, just because he couldn't handle it. And coming from a Mediterranean background, we've always been quite healthy, but the obviously processed meat is highly likely. It increases your risk of colon cancer quite highly. And we did have a lot of that in our like Mediterranean sort of diet with like salami and bacon and things like that. So that definitely increased like the likelihood of it. And so my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And then he was basically ill for a year, had an operation, and luckily he managed to overcome it, whether it is because of changes in his lifestyle or whatnot. But he overcame the illness, and that really sparked my interest into researching more about why diseases are caused. And like, because I thought we were a healthy family, yet he's got this like really, really bad cancer. So I started researching, and I came across a book called How Not to Die, which I'm sure you might have heard of, by Dr. Michael Greger.
Yeah.
Awesome doctor.
That's such a funny title too, but like really the book really does make sense like that.
I know, right? And I actually met him a few years ago now. I was in awe, a proper fangirl, because he was just an awesome guy. But yeah, so I read this book, and I started to like, basically I remember just reading chapters out of it to my family and to my dad, obviously. I managed to basically get my dad off bacon and fully plant-based, which definitely helped in his recovery. And then fast forward like 6 years, and my whole family is plant-based. My dad's made his full recovery in his cancer, and he's never felt better. So yeah, that's basically for the health reasons is what sparked my plant-based journey. But then since going vegan after the first year of making loads of vegan friends and hanging out with all the activists, I discovered the reasons were not just for health, but like so many reasons, like environmental, ethical, obviously what happens to animals. And then now a new reason, which is preventing world pandemics, which is obviously a crazy reason as well.
So would you say that, like, I mean, not to be dramatic, but like it really did save your father's life switching to like eating plant-based, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He says that 100%. And now it's great because he's like a little vegan activist as well and tries to convert all of his friends, which is awesome.
So Giuseppe, looking at your Instagram page, man, it really looks like you have a full handle on how to make good vegan foods. Would you have anything that somebody can just like start off as a vegan? You know, like I remember 2 years ago when I became vegan, it was like very basic for me. Like I had jaw surgery, so I couldn't really go back into eating chicken and like eating things that I was eating every day. You know, like I was a chicken and cheese guy every single day, chicken for lunch, and then maybe some sort of cheese like at any point during the day. And then like I became like a very basic vegan in terms of like eating oats and then eating tofu, chickpeas, and beans. But like it was really around like the 3 to 6 month mark when like I finally discovered seitan, like the fake kind of meats and stuff like that. So what would you recommend somebody do in terms of like starting their vegan journey?
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good question. I always say to people that want to like get involved in the journey is to make simple swaps. So make substitutes, whether it's with your butter or your milk or your cheese or even your meat in like your spaghetti bolognese. Just try a plant-based mince or even like swap it for lentils. I think that's the easiest way to go, making simple swaps and then make habits. And then eventually you probably realize you're having a few vegan meals a week. And then it's really easy that way. Because if I feel if you dig in it, like dig too deep and too quickly, then you can probably be overwhelmed and it's too difficult. For me, it was a very natural process. I never really decided, okay, I'm going to be vegan in like X amount of time. It kind of just slowly happened. Like I started to quit dairy quite a long time actually before I was fully vegan. And then I didn't really like go through vegetarianism or anything like that. It just sort of happened. And then I just realized one day, oh shit, I'm vegan. It's like, it is what it is. So yeah.
So you, it sounds like, started from like a health perspective, and then, you know, you got all these benefits after that. You talk a little bit about intermittent fasting in terms of like, you know, when I was checking out your Instagram page, do you think that like the idea and mindset of becoming more healthy started when you just became fully vegan? You were like, all right, well, I'm on this health kick. I feel amazing. My dad is better in terms of health. Like maybe there's something to this eating process that really helps your health.
No, yeah, another good question. But I actually was into health quite a long time before adopting a plant-based diet and getting into it. I was quite a chubby kid in high school, like quite fat, and then after the end of like high school is when I started to like lose a bit of weight and get into sports and get into be a little bit more fit and healthy. And ever since then is when I discovered it. And then I discovered intermittent fasting actually about maybe 3 or 4 years before I discovered veganism, and I pretty much do it to this day still in one form or another. It doesn't work for everyone, but it's definitely helped me just to have a better relationship with food and not pig out on like junk. And it just suits me a lot better with my workouts. I like to work out in the morning on an empty stomach, and I can have a great workout, and then I can like refuel my body afterwards with tons of like nutrient dense foods and fruits and vegetables. So that's the way that works best for me at the moment.
So, you know, and I keep mentioning your Instagram page, man, but like these recipes that you're making look insane. I know I asked you before, I was like, are you a chef, man? And you were like, you said no, modestly. But some of these things that you're putting together just look like a 5-star dessert meal that like you have your basic like Nutella and all these like animal products there. That's what it like looked like it would potentially be. How did you get together in terms of like putting all these delicious ingredients together and being like, oh, by the way, this is vegan and like no harm to animals were done during this particular time?
Well, yeah. Well, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate
Yes,
that.
dude, it's amazing.
So, but basically, I started the page at university, like in my like second year, as I was just like as I fully went vegan, and just basically just started it. It was originally called High Protein Vegan, which is a bit of a crappy name, but I just thought,
Like,
okay, what do I want to? I want to spread awareness about vegan food, and people think it has no protein, and I obviously go to the gym, so I called it High Protein Vegan, and basically just started taking pictures, which were quite bad. If I look back today, they were terrible. Lighting and they looked terrible, but they were healthy and they were high in protein. And that was my goal. I wanted to just take pictures of the food that I ate to show people what I eat when people say to me, oh, but where do you get your protein from? So I used to just say, look at this Instagram page. This is the meals I eat. And then since then, I discovered like a love and a passion for sharing food and basically growing a community online. And then since then, it's grown exponentially. Obviously, we can talk a bit about plant-based news a little bit later, but it's from that and from growing the community. I've even got a group of friends called the Plant Boys, which we can also talk about later as well. And it's just the community aspect from it has been amazing. But with regards to the food, yeah, I just obviously coming from an Italian background, I've always loved food and the culture, and always like loved home cooking, healthy, whole foods. So I'd say that's the initial like motivation that sparked it, and then ever since then I've just tried to perfect it and took inspiration from various Instagram pages and as well my Italian heritage. I try to veganize a lot of Italian dishes. I recently made a tiramisu, which is coming out this week, which was absolutely amazing and so easy to make. So definitely stay tuned for that.
So are you going to put together a cooking book or something like this? And also the second part of this question, do you find that like being in the UK, your vegan options aren't so limited? Because like I'd say probably when I started being vegan, like 2 years ago, it was right around the time you started to see vegan restaurants popping up in New York City. Like a Veggie Grill, one of my more favorite restaurants, like a Red Bamboo. It seems like there are more places each month, but do you find it easy being in the UK and being a vegan?
Cool. Yeah. So to answer the first bit, cookbook. So that's definitely on the cards at some point. It's always been on the back of my head. Always wanted to do it. I'm super busy with work at the moment. And at the moment, I'm just trying to put out more and more content and raise awareness and grow my brand. But definitely something I would consider in the future, because it obviously reaches more people. So it's a great way, and it's like a nice gift, or it's a nice thing like that. And then to answer your other question about the UK, yeah, definitely the UK is incredible. Like, I won't lie to you, it is definitely one of the best countries in the world for veganism. It's just so far ahead of all the others from all the research I've done and people I've spoken to. I don't really know why. I guess it's just because it's such a multicultural country and there's so many hubs of business in the UK. But yeah, there's just so many restaurants. Even like the crappy cities, like one of the small cities I live, my hometown, which is in Staffordshire, in the middle of Manchester and Birmingham. It's quite a small city, but even there's not really any vegan restaurants. But there's every single pub or restaurant has pretty much a vegan menu, which is just crazy. And then if you go to the bigger cities like Manchester, Birmingham, and London, there's like a vegan restaurant on every corner, which is awesome.
And then also you guys, oh, sorry, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I went to New York after a year of first being vegan, and I did. There were great stuff, a few good restaurants, but it's definitely nothing compared to the UK for sure.
Yeah, and Giuseppe, the next time you come to New York City, you got to come to a Ted Jones comedy show. Guys, the last show that we had on Thursday, we're posting this on Monday. I'm sure it was amazing. Thank you guys so much for coming to the Ted Jones comedy show. Next one will be soon. Stay tuned in my bio. But the UK being 5 hours ahead of New York, maybe that you guys have like some sort of like future telling on like what's really good with the world. I can't wait until we have full vegan options here in New York City, because like you'll go to like an Italian steak, or not an Italian steak restaurant. You'll just go to a place that like only serves steak, and then you'll ask them, do you guys have any vegan options? And it's like, come on, sweetheart, it's a steakhouse. You know, like you'll get that kind of vibe in New York.
Yeah, like, that's what I get when I go to Italy and go to my like Italian grandparents. They're just like, do you want some Parmesan on this pasta? I'm like,
yeah,
no,
literally.
not that.
Or they put it on right without you asking. They're like, how much? You're like, I actually didn't want any of it. So let's talk a little bit about plant-based news and how you got involved with this. I mean, I would just say Instagram page, but like it's a full brand now. You guys with like 1 million followers.
So plant-based news is, just for any listeners that are not aware, it's basically one of the world's largest vegan media and news, education, and also like health entertainment platforms. It's like a hybrid of everything. But it's really an interesting story how it started. So it started with the two founders, Robbie and Klaus, got together with a YouTube channel and a website, just as a side hustle, like aside from their full-time jobs, just raising awareness, creating fun videos, and just reporting on any vegan news. And then out of the blue, a Saudi Arabian prince called Prince Khaled, he reached out to them and said, I love what you're doing. They thought it was like a prank at first, but he was basically like, I love what you're doing. I want to support you guys. I want to invest in you guys.
Wow.
Let's talk. And they basically prepared a presentation like overnight with no sleep, delivered it the next morning. And then he invested something like $300,000, which was helped them to quit their jobs and grow it to where it is today. And then I joined around a year or so after that. So I've been with the company for almost 4 years now. And it's grown exponentially, and it's going to grow. It's pretty much doubled in the last year, and it's going to double in the next year, or even bigger probably.
That's amazing, man. You really got in on the ground level for sure. So like based on a lot of those posts just from plant-based news, I get a lot of information, you know, like it's crazy to see in the UK now, like they're having some ads that are like against, you know, killing animals, slaughterhouses, even using cow's milk. Do you have any sort of idea when like plant-based news, like Europe and UK is going to kind of shift over to the United States? Because there's really not that big of like a vegan hub in terms of like where we can link on to, oh, like this is like a vegan page or a vegan place that like vegans can unite. You know, I don't want to sound corny in saying that, but like there are a lot of us and we're growing. You know, people will say, especially when people ask me, they're like, well, like, how did you give up cheese? Like there's a lot of substitutes and there's just a lot of things that people don't know. But I feel like being in the UK, you guys have an advantage. Like you guys are ahead of the curve, it feels like.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously, to have a sustainable plant-based diet, it is nice to have the junk foods and all those alternatives, but they are definitely aren't necessary. But I think they are vital to like fast forward the movement and to make it accessible for even more people. And then just to mention about your like the US point, so it's interesting because, like you said, we actually in total we have around 2.5 million followers, and over 60% of our followers actually in the US.
Oh yeah.
So even though our whole small team is based in the UK, our like, overwhelming majority of our audience is in the US. So we've always wanted to like focus more of our content on the US and hopefully like work out there for a little bit. So yeah, stay tuned.
Do you feel like the vegan movement in the United States has been silenced just because like we're such big producers of like factory farms and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously just due to the overwhelming population, like the population of the US is so huge, and the that's why it's a lot more difficult for vegan companies to first of all start up and then grow because there's just so much area to cover. Whereas in the UK, it's obviously a lot smaller. Um, so yeah, it's a difficult one, but I think as the vegan population grows and the vegan movement grows, all these chains will catch on. Like obviously, there's Burger King, there's KFC. They all have vegan options, and hopefully, as more and more of them have more vegan options, it will grow. But one thing that is a real issue that I know a lot of in the US is like food deserts. I don't
What do
know
you
if
mean?
you're
What do you
aware
mean
of
by
that.
that?
So like in a lot of states in the US, I've heard there's populations where it's just so difficult to get access to healthy fruit and vegetables like accessible because the cheapest and easily accessible foods are just junk food. And so these families are just stuck in such unhealthy lifestyles, and I think that's one of the reasons as well why it's such a barrier for a lot of people that want to eat healthier in the US.
Do you have an idea or a timeline when you think people are really going to stop eating meat? I know it's
Good
like a big
question.
question, but what do you think?
I think I don't. To be honest, I don't think in our lifetime we will ever fully give up meat. However, I do think within the next, from all the news I'm surrounded by and all the science I'm aware of, in the next 10 years, most meat will be either lab grown or plant based. Same with fish and same with dairy. So there's a recent forgot his name, but the CEO of some giant investment company has basically said that his predictions, and a lot of scientists agree with this, that dairy industry will be fully eradicated within the next 10 years just because of the way it's declining and the alternatives available currently. And then meat and fish will be 50% plant-based and 50% lab grown, which is, and it's definitely looking that way because the technology at the moment, I mean, lab grown meat is it's already available in some countries. It's not like massively available right now, but the technology has already been developed. It's just about scale now, so getting it cheaper. I think there's one restaurant in Singapore and one in Israel, which actually currently legally are allowed to sell lab-grown chicken nuggets and things like that. So that's definitely the future. Lab-grown meat is basically just grown in a petri dish using cells of an actual host animal, so it's identical from the real thing. And I definitely think lab-grown meat is something to be celebrated. I don't think it's for vegans necessarily because we don't really want that. But for meat eaters, it's an identical product that uses 99% less water, land, and resources. So it's kind of a no-brainer, and you don't have to kill any animals in the process. So
Right. So you just put like cells inside of a petri dish, and then from that point, it's like a kind of a 3D version of it.
exactly. And there's quite a few different names for it. Some people call it lab-grown meat, but that kind of paints it into like a weird science experimenty
Yeah,
picture.
it sounds
I think
weird.
the new term that a lot of people are going with is just cellular agriculture, or even precision fermentation, because that's what it is. It's basically just growing it in a specific way that the cells grow into a muscle tissue, and then from there you can pretty much make it into anything like a chicken nugget or a chicken breast or a steak. There's even a 3D printed steak, which is a thing now, which is
I
basically
think
like
I maybe saw that on your Instagram page, I think.
probably, yeah.
That's amazing. So Giuseppe, you mentioned your vegan friends and like you guys going out to vegan restaurants, having vegan meals. To be honest, man, I'm probably one of the strictest vegans I know. I don't have that many friends in general, but like if I have any fully vegan friends, I mean they're not really around that much. Like a lot of my friends still will eat eggs, maybe they'll have like the cow milk in coffee. How do you like convince your friends to go vegan? You know, I don't want to be that annoying guy who's like, oh, you probably shouldn't
Yeah.
eat that, probably shouldn't do that. But like, how did you surround yourself with like a vegan-based friend group?
That's a good question. I basically ditched them all and made new vegan friends.
That's
No,
a good dude, man.
so I mean, to be honest, like I've always said, and I've always figured out, and a lot of people agree with this, that the closest people in your life are some of the people that are hardest to convert into being a vegan, because they aren't afraid to be defensive, they aren't afraid to have an argument with you. So a lot of people really do struggle with like converting their families, or I don't really even like to use the word convert because it sounds like a religion. I prefer to use like inspire, or like
you dunk them in water and then they're good.
Yeah. So like a lot of people struggle to inspire their family or their close friends to adopt a plant-based diet, just because they just don't want to hear it. They're just like, get lost. Luckily for me, my family were on board. I live with my parents and my sister, and we're all plant-based, so that's awesome. It can be really difficult if it's not. However, with my close friends, so I've got quite a few different friendship groups. I've got like my vegan friends, I've got my high school friends that aren't vegan, I've got my like friends from the city I grew up in, and then friends in like city I work, like in London. And I've noticed that with my high school friends that I've been close with in my hometown, none of them are really fully vegan except maybe one or two. And I've never really tried to convert them. Originally I had maybe a few arguments with them when I first went vegan. But I've noticed now, like 3, 4, 5 years later, that they're interested. They want to try the foods. They like my posts. They like my recipes. They want to go out for vegan food. So I always think leading by example and just letting them find their own way. And if they ever do ask, then be that person to help. But I would never like to say, oh yeah, I think you need to go vegan, because people need to find their own feet and everyone's on their own journey. So that is the way to go. However, having said that, we are in like a climate emergency, and what happens to animals is terrible. And obviously people don't realize the risks to their health and the pandemic. So it is something that needs to happen sooner rather than later. But with people and psychology, it's very difficult to speed those things up.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Like, I don't know if I saw it on your page or like another vegan kind of sort of page that I've seen, but like, just like for example, like this past weekend, there was a huge flood in Louisiana. Like, people don't think about these factory farms, and when there's like 6 feet of water, like, you're not going to go and save the 2 million chickens that are in like the shed, or like the 800 cows that like a guy has on his farmland. You know, like, there's really nowhere to put them. So like, just seeing these images, it's frightening. And it's like it's a really crazy thing. Like, when you put these images in front of meat eaters, they don't fully understand. And then like, you'll see dogs being eaten in other countries, and then that'll trigger somebody. Or like, you see like a cute animal being eaten in another country, and people are just like triggered in certain ways. You know what I mean? But like, have you had anybody, this is something that I hear a lot, have you had anybody bring the argument to you where you're like, well, we've been eating meat for thousands of years as a society, like, why would I stop eating chicken?
Yeah, I mean, I had that pretty much my whole first year of being a vegan. Because I was at uni at the time, I made a lot of friends with like local vegan activists, and I used to like go into town, which isn't really something I would do now. But that first year, I definitely got really stuck in with vegan activism and talking to people in the streets. And it really helped me though to come up with like the perfect, or not perfect, but just to be able to answer these like pretty dumb questions. To answer the specific question of like, we've been eating animals for thousands of years, for example, like of course we have been eating animals. A lot of the time when we have eaten animal products in the past, it has been a lot less frequent than we have today, maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah, we're not like killing a chicken every day for lunch.
Exactly. And so that's obviously the health aspect. It was way less. It was very few and far between. And also like biologically, our DNA and our the way our bodies are made are closest to a herbivorous animal. So people say we have these canines, but you should, like, our DNA is closest to a chimpanzee, which is like 99% vegan, and our colons are really are really long, sorry, to be designed to have lots of fruit and vegetables, compared to a really short colon in a lion, because of the meat. And that's why meat rots in our intestines and like causes cancerous toxins.
Totally.
It's crazy.
Like, if you really think about it, you don't want just like dead stuff like hanging out in your butt, you know, for freaking
exactly.
time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So okay, one of the easier things that you'd recommend to somebody listening in who's thinking about trying to, you know, switch some meat out for a vegan meal? I mean, we can look at your page and check out like a number of these things that you're putting together, the number of these delicious looking ingredients put together, but like, what do you think something that's easy? I talk about on the podcast all the time about how, no joke, I'll just like crack open a can of beans, crack open some chickpeas, wash it, put hot sauce on it, and I'm good for lunch. But like somebody who would want to get into veganism and like have an actually like delicious tasting meal that's easy, what would you say?
Yeah, so I would definitely say one of my creamy pasta dishes. So I've got quite a few on my page.
Shout out your page, by the way, Giuseppe.
So my page is kind of boring, the name, because it's just my name, Giuseppe Federici 1. But and maybe if you put in the show notes, people will be able to find it.
Absolutely, we'll put it right here.
Quite hard to spell, isn't it? Yeah. So what was it? Oh yeah. So my one of my easiest recipes, go-to recipes that I love to make, pretty much once a week, is any creamy pasta dish with this special sauce. It's so easy to make. It's basically soaked cashews. So any good like plant-based creamy sauce starts with soaked cashews, which are obviously really easy to make. I soak them in hot water for about 10 or 15 minutes just to get them a bit soft. And then I drain the water and blend them with some plant-based milk. And even just those two ingredients is a great creamy dish. But what I like to do to add a bit of extra protein is to put in a block of silken tofu. And then you can also have a bit of fun and add some extra seasonings like nutritional yeast to make it like a cheesy flavor, or some garlic to give it like an Alfredo sort of sauce. And honestly, that goes with anything. And you can add it to just fresh pasta on its own, and it's a nice creamy pasta dish. Or you can add it with some like mushrooms and like vegan bacon and vegan chicken, and you've got like a really nice carbonara. Or you can just have like veggies like broccoli, and it's a really easy, healthy, high protein dish. So yeah, creamy cashew pasta, whatever you want to call it, is definitely the go-to.
Don't mean to put you on the spot here, but what is your favorite cheese? This is something that like a lot of people trying to convert from like having those Kraft singles on their burgers to like having a new cheese, but there's so many cheeses, it really is hard to kind of figure out which one you like. Do you have a certain brand that people should check out?
Yeah, that's true. So obviously I know the brands differ between the US and the UK. I know when I lived in Canada for a little while, I had Daiya, which is quite a good one. I don't know if you've had that.
It's like DAIYA.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but that's a good one in the US. And then a good one in the UK is called a Violife. So it's available in pretty much all the big like Sainsbury's, Tesco, and it's just really, they do a mozzarella, and it's really good. It melts quite easily on like pizza and stuff. So Violife in the UK or Daiya in the US.
So I spoke about earlier, you know, like the ads that you'll see on UK. I mean, like I'm seeing them a lot on Instagram, but like, are you seeing a lot of anti-meat eating ads like on the street, just walking around, you know, like billboards and stuff like that? Or is that like, that kind of slowly coming into play?
Yeah, so I mean, with plant-based news, we do a bit of work with like vegan organizations, and occasionally they'll have like billboards like to go against these. But yeah, you're right. There are a lot of like anti-vegan ads that do pop up, generally around times when the industries are just scared. Like there was one on the TV around Christmas time that for Tesco, which was promoting their plant-based range, and the little girl said, "Daddy, I don't want to eat animals anymore." And it basically got loads of complaints from the NFU, which is the National Farmers Union in the UK.
Fuck you.
Yeah, because she said animals, and so they basically they protested, and they got it to be changed to "Daddy, I don't want to eat meat anymore," which is just crazy. But it was great because that advert got so much attention in the media because of that stupid complaint. So. And the meat industry was scared because they wanted to hide the fact that, even though it's like not well known apparently, that the meat is animals.
So I'd say like two of the inspirational documentaries for me was probably like What the Health initially, which kind of like, you know, turned my stomach a little bit in terms of like, okay, what is going into your body is decaying and really not making you healthy. Because when you eat shit that's dead, you're going to feel like you're dead. So if you eat stuff that's alive, plants, fruits, vegetables, whatever, you're going to feel more alive. I saw Game Changers. Do you ever see that documentary?
Yes, love that film.
That was one of the crazier documentary. I forget the athlete that was in it, but he did the rope swinging for like
Lewis
an hour.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the producer, James Wilkes.
Okay, exactly. So Would you recommend watching either of these two documentaries to kind of change your mind? What do you think people who are
Yeah,
eating meat,
absolutely.
who need like a little extra poke in the side, need to do to switch over?
Yeah. So my top documentaries, not in any particular order, are Forks Over Knives. That's a great one. I'm pretty sure you can watch
Forks
that.
and knives?
Forks Over Knives.
Okay.
So that's a really, really great one. It's kind of like a metaphor for like forks, like having your plate over like violence. But it's all about nutrition, similar to What the Health, but all about healthy whole food diets and how it reverses disease. And then Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead is also a great one, with an Australian guy called Joe Cross. He reversed like tons of his health problems with a plant-based diet. And then obviously What the Health, Cowspiracy is also a great one. The Game Changers. And then there's also Earthlings, which is obviously about like animal agriculture and what happens behind slaughterhouses. And then there's actually a UK version, which is really great, by Earthling Ed, called Land of Hope and Glory.
Oh,
That's free to watch on YouTube.
I love Earthling Ed, man. The guy,
Oh
he has
yeah, he's a
the
legend.
hair right here, right down
He's
to his
basically
shoulders.
vegan Jesus, right?
Yeah, literally, man. It's so funny. Like, he also goes through so much shit. Like, people are always yelling at him. Like, he's the guy, Earthling Ed, we're referring to. He's the guy who'll go on the street and be like, eating animals are bad. Like, convince me otherwise. He's basically like a advocate
Yeah,
for that, right?
yeah. I love those sorts of videos where he's basically just like absolutely like shutting down people with their terrible arguments.
Yeah. So would you say that in terms of keeping your body the healthiest, obviously, working out as you do, and us vegans, I'd say do work out for the most part. Like, you'll see vegans who are overweight, but maybe they're not eating the healthiest. Would you say that going vegan and intermittent fasting are some of the best things that you could do in terms of like health for your body and also like health for the planet, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say definitely eating as much whole food, plant foods as you can is definitely the best thing you can do for your body. I would start off cutting out dairy because that's probably one of the worst and one of the most unnecessary for our health. But yeah, lots of whole foods and whole plant foods. Intermittent fasting probably less so, depending on if you really want to. It can work for a lot of people to lose weight and gain muscle as well, but I wouldn't say it's a vital thing. It's just a small tool that can help. But definitely a lot more plants. My diet is probably 80% whole food, plant-based, and then 20% I just like to use for like the junk foods and the vegan things like that, because obviously there's so many great options out there. I don't want to limit myself, so I do enjoy the vegan junk foods every now and again. In fact, I probably eat more junk food since I've been vegan than beforehand, just because I love to try all the new vegan like options. Like there's just so many.
I feel the same way too. Like in New York, it looks like on Uber Eats or Seamless on the little app, like you can really find a ton of new places that are popping up and like they're doing well. Like New York, I don't know how it's been in the UK, but like New York in the past 18 months, like it really just like demolished so many businesses just because like people weren't
Yeah.
able to go out. And then maybe if you were watching like kind of the underground news and such, like you'd see that, oh, maybe killing these animals caused the pandemics, and it's the coronavirus started in the wet markets in China. So like when you talk about just like plant-based foods in general, you feel like it's going to get easier for us to find it as a community?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's only going to get easier as more and more people adopt a plant-based diet. I think I read somewhere like something like for a movement to really like kick off and like grow exponentially, it has to be around like 10% of the population. And currently in the UK, it's sitting around like 6 or 7. So I say, as soon as it hits that 10%, it's going to skyrocket even more than it ever has. And every single year, um, the the movement just grows exponentially. And every single year, more products come out and more restaurants release more offerings. So it's only going to get bigger and better. The question is just how soon can we reach that tipping point of where it's most people are vegan and most people are vegetarian rather than the minority.
So getting more people aware, man. What do you think's next for you, Giuseppe, in terms of like just it seems like it's difficult to convince people. People are set in their ways, but what do you think is next for you in terms of convincing the world that eating plants is the way to go?
So similar to what I've pretty much done always, which is just with food. So showing people how easy and delicious and healthy plant-based foods can be, and how you don't have to sacrifice anything. Like you can literally make any dish that you want a plant-based version. So basically just education, and find people where they're at, because every person is going to have a different like interest points. So some people might be they might care more about the planet, so go down that route, and other people might care more about their health because their nan has heart disease or something like that in their family. So find people where they're at and educate them. And the good thing is like with the plant-based movement is we have the truth on our side. We have everything we need. It's just about getting the information into people, because it is the best diet for our health, our planet, and animals, and the pandemic risk, and just to basically ensure the future of our planet. Because, for example, if everyone ate the same diet as Americans, we'd need like 5 planets. So
dude,
I read that stat the other day, and I was like,
you guys keep posting that, shitting on us over in the UK. Giuseppe, man, thank you so much for joining me today on the Ted Jones World Podcast. I want to leave the floor to you to try and convince these people who are listening, who are still eating meat, to convert to veganism. What are you going to say, man?
I would just say, it's probably going to be a bit boring, but just eat as much plants as you can, and get rid of the animal products, and you're good to go.
Giuseppe, thank you so much, man. Plant-based news. If you guys don't follow the Instagram, or also I will put Giuseppe's Instagram here on the YouTube channel and the Instagram bio. Giuseppe, thank you so much, man. Enjoy that delicious dinner tonight. Sounds good.
Thank you, man. Honestly, it's so great to chat to you, and I'll definitely link with you when I'm in New York.
I can't wait, dude. We're gonna have a freaking great time, man. Thanks so much for doing this. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, take care, man.